weary of it, I will tell you that. I'm ready for it to be over.
Melanie's waiting, Ventura, California, line for Democrats. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. You know what I'm really curious about is how you want to get rid of the Mueller case, his investigation. Why do you feel the urgency to get rid of it and it's not really going anywhere when they're proving facts that he in doubt is involved with this whole thing? And as far as your campaign coming from, do you care where it's coming from? What shell companies are being used?
Sure I do. And, let's face it, most of my campaign contributions come from the pharmacy profession and from healthcare. That's where my expertise is. That's, what I'm most involved in. I don't ever take any campaign contribution that I think may be suspect, and I'm not going to do that. I've never done it, and I will not do it. But at the same time, it is necessary for us to run campaigns, for us to get a message out. Now, if my opponents want to enter into agreement where none of us will take campaign cash, well, that's one thing that we would have to talk about. But at the same time, I've got to get my message out there, and the only way I can get it out there is through the media, and they're not going to do it for free. So it's look, it's not the fun part of the job, but it is part of the job. As far as the investigation goes, again, I have to respectfully disagree. I haven't seen anything that's come out that would indicate that the president, there's been any collusion with the Russians or anything else. And again, how long is long enough? I mean, this has gone on and on and on, and as of this time, I haven't seen anything substantial at all.
You mentioned your work on healthcare issues. Mm-hmm. Is the opioid crisis getting worse or better?
Well, it's probably getting a little worse before it's going to get better, but I do believe that we are making progress. Look at the legislation that we've passed. We passed CARA, the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act, which put billions of dollars into rehabilitation for opioid addiction, into mental health. We also passed 21st Century Cures, a great bill that also helps and puts more money into opioid addiction and opioid prevention. We are working consistently and working diligently in the Energy and Commerce Committee trying to address this problem, and we are making progress here. We've had, at least this week alone, we've had over 4 meetings in between the Health Subcommittee and the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee. We've got 33 bills that we're considering right now before the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Health Subcommittee that address the opioid epidemic. It is a big problem, no question about it. 91 people every day are dying in America from opioid addiction. Recently, a study was done about how long Americans are living. For the first time in decades, that number has decreased, and they've attributed it to the opioid addiction. We've got one of the lowest unemployment rates that we've had in years and decades, and we've got over almost 1 million people who, if we could get them back into the workforce, who are addicted to opioids, who have an addiction problem right now, that would help us so much in our workforce development.
Take you to the suburbs of Atlanta, Jonesboro, Georgia. John's waiting, line for Republicans. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Carter.
Good morning.
I've got some questions here that I'm like you, this investigation has gone on and on and on. Attorney General Sessions is not doing his job. It's basically run by the Assistant Attorney General, which is Rob Steen. And for Rob Steen to go out of his way to sign a warrant to raid the offices of President Trump's attorney, I think that's crossed the line. Congress is requested for, over a year for the documents to be released, and on the FISA warrant, for example. And Congress, you need to just serve a warrant on the Department of Justice, raid their offices and the FBI. We all know McCabe was crooked. Comey, he deserves to go to prison. And make your agenda to get the truth out to the American people.
Well, I tend to agree with you on a lot of your points. Right now, the House Intelligence Committee is talking about possibly serving warrants to get some of this information released. And the chairman of the House Intel Committee, Representative Devin Nunes, is doing a great job, I think, with what they have uncovered. And certainly when you have the opportunity, as I have, to view some of these security documents, then you see it differently, and you wonder and I was personally glad that the information was released by the Republicans on the Intel Committee, because it proved the point that, you know, the FISA investigation was skewed. Look, I have a lot of confidence in the FBI. I think they're among the best, but keep in mind that even the best of men is a man at best. There are bad actors. There are bad actors in the FBI, and whereas they are a great organization with good quality people, you have to weed out those bad actors, and certainly this was a case that was released.
Just a minute or two before the House comes in for the day. You've been in Congress 2 terms now. Did you serve with former Speaker John Boehner?
I did. I served with Speaker Boehner and with Speaker Ryan.
News this week that he joined a marijuana firm's advisory board as a pharmacist. How do you feel about the federal government legalizing marijuana? Should it happen?
No, it should not happen. Marijuana is nothing more than a gateway drug. I'm convinced of that. I did read where Speaker Boehner had joined that. You know, what needs to happen here? Marijuana is a Schedule I drug, and therefore no research on that. I have been all over the DEA about this and FDA. You need to at least, and we're going to be offering legislation. I'm going to be offering an amendment to make Schedule I drugs, to allow for research on Schedule I drugs. Now, Schedule I drugs are those that don't have any medicinal use at this time, but we need to be able to research on them.
Congressman Buddy Carter is a Republican from Georgia, member of the Energy and Commerce Committee. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Come back.